All right, so we have John Lott on, so we'll bring him on. John, I appreciate you. I appreciate you being with us. We are live now, so we will. I don't know why we're having the connection issues, but I'm glad to have you on. I think it's so crucial that people understand what's going on because they think that these ICE agents are really evil people, that they go around arresting Americans. But you've written a column on the New York Post. I encourage every single one of you to read it, or in the New York Post, how Trump's ICE enforcement record blows Obama's out of the water. John, it simply isn't true that these ICE agents are going around and arresting a bunch of American citizens, is it?
No, no, you're exactly right. Yeah, I mean, sorry, I guess I got sent the wrong link by accident there, but we're all set now. So I appreciate you having me on. Yeah, look, a lot of this started with an article done by ProPublica, which is kind of a left wing media organization. And they were saying that 170 American citizens had been picked up and detained by ICE. What they kind of left out of the discussion was that 130 of those were people who had either attacked or interfered with ICE agents, so they were committing crimes, and they were arrested because they were committing crimes. That still leaves 40. I mean, one would like it to be zero, but you have to put it in some type of perspective. And what you have to note is that these were people who were picked up along with other illegals that were there. Most of them were held for less than a day, and most of those were just held for an hour or 2 hours, maybe three, while they were figuring out who they were. And the thing is, when you look at it, you have to compare it to how many illegals they were picking up, and there are about 600,000 illegals. So you're talking about one American accidentally picked up for every 15,000 illegal aliens that were being picked up, which, again, it would be nice if it was zero. But what I tried to do is say, okay, zero is not the relevant comparison. How does this compare to other administrations? Unfortunately, the Biden administration didn't collect this data. Most of the Obama administration didn't collect this data, but for the last 2 years, 2015 and 2016, they did. And what you find is that
that's odd to me, John. I don't understand why they wouldn't. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but does that strike you as odd?
Well, of course, yeah. No, I was shocked that the Department of Homeland Security didn't have that data. So, I agree with you, and it makes one suspicious. And maybe what I'm going to tell you explains why they're not keeping it. I don't know. But if you go look at the 2 years for the Obama administration, what you find is that the rate that they're picking up American citizens is about one for every 4,400 illegals. So that's a mistake rate that's about 3.3 times the mistake rate under Trump last year. So, that's a significant difference. But I don't remember anybody complaining about the much higher rate of mistakes that were occurring under the Obama administration compared to Trump.
And what's amazing though, I mean, even though you share the difference or you compare the difference between the mistake rates between the Trump administration or ICE under Trump and ICE under Obama, Obama's numbers weren't exactly bad, John. So that means that Trump's numbers are absolutely exceptional. Can you stick with me for another segment? I'm sorry for the mix up.
Yeah, sure.
All right. So, all right. Well, we'll be back with John Lott. Guys, ICE are heroes. They are not villains or ICE agents. We'll be back with John Lott. All right, back with my guest, John Lott. He is the president of the Crime Prevention Research Center. You saw I got that right this time. I did a video. But anyway, we were talking offline for those of you that may have seen about Tom Homan, and we'll get into that, I'm sure, momentarily. And I've got video that I'll play for you later after this interview with John Lott. But I wanted to bring him on because, again, he wrote a fantastic column, as he is. Listen, this is the guy to go to when it's crime, when it's Second Amendment. This is the guy that you want to read. This is the guy that you want to support. Crime Prevention Research Center. Also, again, just find his writings. He's in the New York Post. He's in different outlets as well. But if you Google him, you'll find the latest things that he's written. But I was looking at some of these numbers that you talked about, John, and frankly, you were talking about Obama's numbers and how much better Trump's numbers are compared to Obama's when it comes to, making errors when it comes to arresting American citizens. But I love the way that you clarified again. 170 ICE detained U.S. citizens cited in this guy Stanages, whatever, this guy that was ragging or harassing Caroline Levitt at a
Right.
presser, I believe it was, last week, and
Right.
talking about Renee Good and so on, et cetera. But 170 people that cited, again, 130 were arrested for doing exactly what Alex Preddy and Renee Good were guilty of doing. These people were obstructionists. But the reason why I call them heroes is because you're right. Any error is serious, but you talk about how ICE has made 40 mistakes out of 595,000 arrests. So
Right.
basically, the mistakes that they make are rare. These people are getting the worst of the worst off the streets. There was a story that broke here, John, where apparently this happened days or so ago, maybe a week or more. You had an illegal alien in Georgia sadly raped an 11-year-old girl,
Right.
held her 10-year-old sister at knife point. This is what ICE is dealing with. These people are heroes.
Right. Well, and there are a couple points to make here. One is the job under the Trump administration this last year was much more difficult for several reasons than during Obama's time. And the reason is because if an illegal is released into the country, the law has it that you're supposed to take their DNA and you're supposed to confirm what their name is. The Biden administration didn't do either, really. You probably remember the news stories about all these passports and other identifying documents that were dumped at the border right before the illegals would come across, because they wanted to go and hide their identity. And so they make up a name, and it's very hard. One of the things the media's done a really poor job, but the Sunday before last, Secretary Kristi Noem was on Face the Nation with Margaret Brennan.
Yes.
And Noem had mentioned that 70% of those who were detained had criminal records. And Margaret Brennan said, no, we've checked it. It's only 47%. And I don't know whether Margaret Brennan just doesn't listen or doesn't understand how the numbers are put together. But what Kristi Noem tried to explain to her was that, look, the 47% is for those who committed a crime in the United States where they were either convicted or charged.
Right.
But there's another 23% that committed crimes in their home countries, that they were either convicted or charged for. And so I don't know if somebody commits murder in the United States or commits murder in their home country, or rape in the United States or rape in their home country. It's not obvious to me why I want to draw a big distinction, saying, well, it's okay if they committed these serious crimes in their home country, but it's not if they did it here. It tells you something about the individual if they've committed those types of crimes anyplace. But you have all sorts of other problems with these things that indicate that the ICE agents, not only are they doing a better job in terms of making fewer mistakes, but they're doing it under more difficult conditions. It's not just, you look at things like the assaults on ICE officers. It's up something like 1,347% from what it was in 2024. You look at death threats. Death threats are up like 8,000%. You look at vehicle attacks against ICE agents. It's like 3,200% higher. So you have multiple things. One is it's more difficult now because of the way Biden ran the system to go and identify these individuals. Two, these agents are taking real personal risks that they didn't have to take before. And they're dealing with these individuals who are interfering with the job that they're doing, who are making it more difficult and more time consuming and riskier. So, one of the ironies, both you mentioned Renee Good and Alex Preddy,
yeah,
that both of them, they should have been arrested earlier.
Yep.
Preddy, there's new video that's come out that the
Played it earlier.
BBC was able to go and verify was him, and even his parents say that it's him, um, where he was literally physically assaulting ICE agents and just damaging government property. Assaulting an agent is a felony.
Right.
And so here's the irony. If he had been arrested, even if he had put out bail or whatever, which may have been likely, I suspect he would have been a lot more reticent for somebody who's out on bail to go and commit another felony.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, there's a good chance he'd be alive today. Renee Good, even that day that she was shot, she had been interfering all day long with ICE officers. Apparently, she had been doing it for at least a week beforehand. What happened was an ICE officer, finally, they had enough of her blocking streets and blocking their ability to drive. They went up, told her that they were going to arrest her, asked her to get out of the vehicle. And at that point, she ran forward and hit the ICE agent that was there, causing him to have internal bleeding. And talk about heroes, this was a guy who just 6 months earlier had been dragged by a car and had to get 33 stitches at that time. So you can understand why he might be a little bit fearful of being hit again by another vehicle. But, here's the irony. The public officials in Minneapolis bear responsibility for these deaths. And the reason is that if they had arrested, if they had helped protect law enforcement, it's very likely that these things wouldn't have spiraled out of control. You have lots of liberal areas in the country, like Austin, Texas, where you don't see these types of things happening because people know that even though they're very left-wing and may hate ICE there, they know if they assault ICE agents, they know if they interfere, they're very likely to end up being arrested and punished. And so they don't go and do that. And so, the fact that this got out of control, it's to me, a lot of the blame goes on not just the rioters there, but also on Frey and other ones who are refusing to go and enforce the law. And of course, as Tom Homan, as you're going to have in the press conference, one of the things he was saying is, look, guys, why not just turn them over to us in the jails that are there? That's a lot safer. You're not going to have the type of safety issues that are there if you turn them over there. These are people who your own legal system have said are criminals. Why not turn those individuals over? And of course, they won't do that. And that's a lot of the problem that's there.
Yeah, I mean, this is it's just astonishing to me. And you're right. We played the video earlier, but I look at this guy, Alex Preddy. He was absolutely unhinged, horrible temper. He committed felonies, as you said. If Fry and Walsh and Keith Ellison had been doing their jobs and actually enforcing the law, these people would absolutely likely be alive, or at least maybe be alive. But you're right. I think the blame goes on these elected officials there. I think they're absolutely insane. We've learned of this communication network, chat signals, and all this. Right. Before we go, we just have a couple more minutes with you here. I'm speaking to John Lott. He's the president of the Crime Prevention Research Center. I mean, you can go online, go to Amazon, buy his books, find his books, More Gun, Less Crime, and tons of others. So go find them. But you also talked about the people that really died in ICE custody. That's another that's been miscontextualized, has it not, John?
Oh, yeah, completely. So ProPublica identifies 32 people who died in ICE custody this last year, 32 illegal aliens. Now there's a couple points to make there. One is people die at a normal rate anyway. Even 20 to 49-year-olds have a mortality rate just naturally that's several times higher than the rate that these individuals died when you consider that they had almost 600,000 in detention. The other thing is, if you go and look at the causes of death, only 3 died from any type of violence. 2 of those were from last September when an anti-ICE person was shooting up ICE vehicles thinking he was killing ICE agents and ended up killing
that's right,
illegal aliens. So it wasn't even ICE's fault. And the third person got hit by a vehicle when he was running away from ICE. So ICE, if he hadn't tried to escape, he would be alive too. And so, and again, the death rate under Obama was higher than the death rate under Trump.
Okay. All right. We'll have to leave it there. John Lott, I appreciate you coming on. Go out and check out the column. I'll post it online as well.
Go to our website at crimeresearch.org. Crimeresearch.org has all that information, as well as the links to the underlying data. The New York Post doesn't include the links to the underlying data, but people should go there just to be sure that they could see the government documents.
Thank you, John. I'll make sure that I mention that several more times. We still got a lot of video to play with Tom Homan, so I'll make sure that I mention that when we go into the videos as well.
Well, thank you, Carl.
Thank you, John. And next time we will body slam Tony if he sends you the wrong link.
Okay.
I cannot believe that.
Well, I believe it or not, I've made one or two mistakes in my life too. So I don't want to. I don't want people to be really reliving those for a long time.
Oh,
anyway,
man.
thanks
All right.
for your time.
Okay, appreciate you.